Walking down Main Street, it is apparent who is deemed an essential business and who isn't. Things, however, are forecasted to change coming in a couple of weeks. May 18th is the new deadline for reopening non-essential businesses in Massachusetts since their closure in late March. But the business community is not optimistic about May 18th.
Wish it would open just for, get back to real life. We can start making money, cutting customers up and all this. But I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think we're actually ready for it to happen.
Tom is the owner of Faded Image Barber Shop in Wareham.
Between workers and clients that are waiting, for us to go back to work, there's going to be some serious guidelines, and I haven't seen no changes yet. So that's why I wouldn't think on the 18th I'll be going back to work.
Tom isn't the only one with doubts.
First, let's take a step back. There's a reopening advisory board that was commissioned by the governor to have made up of several businesses, state officials, local officials to make recommendations to the governor. And they're supposed to be making recommendations to the governor on the type of reopening that should occur before or on or before May 18th. On May 18th, the governor is going to take those recommendations in account and then determine how businesses are going to reopen. Number two, he might extend this to another date. We don't know. It just depends on the virus. Nobody can predict how the virus is going to act or the numbers that are throughout the state of Massachusetts.
Although the restaurant business has remained open all this time, some are hanging by a thin thread.
Well, our sales are, we're doing about 10% of what we did when we were open full time. So, not that great, but we're hanging in, and we've been hanging in every day.
The Riverside Cafe, once a very popular breakfast and lunch restaurant, had to let go of all of their employees. They are now caught on a catch-22. In order to qualify for a paycheck protection program, they need employees. But in order to afford employees, they need to make money, which they are not.
So they apply for a PPP loan, and they have all these conditions, and you've laid people off, say, your employees off because you've had to reduce your workforce because you can't afford to pay them. Then you get the PPP loan, which has to be tied, 75% of that loan has to go to personnel that you're paying, employees rather, that you're paying. So now they need to call back the employees to come back to work so that they can qualify for the PPP loan, right? And the problem is that a lot of them are coming back because they're on unemployment and they get the extra, and I'm not saying it's good or bad or indifferent, but when you apply for unemployment, you get an extra $600 a week on top of that unemployment from the Federal Care Act. So they're either making as much or more on unemployment, so the businesses are having trouble calling them back, and they can't use the PPP loan unless they have employees.
Mama Mary Italian Cuisine had to let go of all of her employees as well, but she says she is fortunate that her business is doing okay.
I've actually been holding my own. I've had a lot of support from the town, friends, family. So I'm going to continue doing it the way I'm doing it. I'm going to keep everybody outside still, probably till June. Just keep the curbside pickup.
The Good Life Nutrition, located at the further end of Main Street, had recently resumed business after a couple of weeks closure. They say business has been steady.
So far, so good. Yes, we actually, for the safety of our customers and the safety of all of us, we actually closed down on March 20th. But then we keep on getting so many requests for us to come back. Where's our shakes? We need our healthy shakes. So as of last Monday, we decided to open back up. And so far, since within that past week, we've exactly where we were before we closed.
The state is planning to reopen the country phase 1 starting May 18th. That is the plan so far. What is your plan?
Well, we're gonna continue to do what we're doing right now, and we're very concerned about what the state is going to allow us to have for patrons coming in. And right now, we've heard that we might be able to have 10 people in at one time. And again, it's going to put us in a really tight situation because of, we're still not going to be, at those numbers, we're not going to be able to hire anyone.
Business owners are not the only ones frustrated with the status quo. The Cape Cod Canal Regional Chamber of Commerce say the business community needs some direction from the state government.
What is the Chamber of Commerce recommending?
We want answers.
Oh, okay.
We want to know in terms of planning, for example, event planning. You've got businesses who catering, weddings, clam bakes, things of that nature. In other words, let us know the number of people that can gather and still socially distance for the type of events. That's one thing. The other thing is, on the hotel and motels, they can only service first responders. They should be able to be open, okay, at this point in time, for people who just need a hotel or a motel that are coming down. There's nothing worse than not knowing, all right? If you know, you can plan. If you don't know, you can't do anything.
One idea floating around in the restaurant community is outdoor seating as a way to maintain social distance and increase revenue.
I'm thinking about putting a couple of tables outside also. I've already started rearranging the inside so that people eventually can start working their way in. Moving the freezer for grab and go a little closer, my bakery case a little closer, the register. I'm just going to do it gradually, real slow. Things seem to be working the way they are, so I just want to be safe.
But for a business such as a beauty shop, it will be tricky to maintain any social distance.
I have 5 barbers in there. Even with just one client per barber, we're already at 10 people in that building, and it's a little tight. So we might have to change it to certain days. Really, you kind of had to play it by what Board of Health is going to say.
So tell me how things have been for you and your fellow barbers.
It's not that good. Because, there's a lot of loans that are getting put out for small businesses, but, we don't really fall under those guidelines because we don't have people that work for us. We're all self-employed, so I don't qualify for the business loans and all that. So we kind of just have to keep on fighting it out and rolling with the punches.
We're doing what we can, and we appreciate all the customers that we've had coming in, and every little bit helps. So we're just hoping that we can pay enough of the bills so that when we do open up for good, that we're not so far in the hole that it's going to prevent us from opening. So
Reporting from Wareham, I am Queen Banda of WCTV.